Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Who's the Baby, a podcast where me and my emotional support mug chat about everything inner child. Today, my topic is the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic nervous system. And why this is so relevant now is because my last episode was basically about setting boundaries and how your body reacts to things. And I had talked about this being a subconscious trigger. How this happens is through your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. Your brain has two different modes. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for things like rest, like digestion. So basically, when you are in a relaxed state or a relaxed frame of mind. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for getting you prepared for vigorous activity, a heightened state, if you will. Attention, readiness, this hypervigilance of, getting your muscles prepared to work or to do something, this fight or flight state of being. There's some other F's that are involved, and what we mean by F's are fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So now these are all things that can be the reaction state of mind in this sympathetic nervous system, which we will talk about and probably dive into each on their own in future episodes. We were created to basically go through these ebbs and flows and for both of those systems to work fluidly. You can be in sympathetic nervous system mode and then you sort of transition into parasympathetic. So you are never supposed to be in one all of the time. You are supposed to weave in and out of both of these states within your being. What we are finding now in modern times is that for some people, they are living almost consistently in the sympathetic frame of mind. So chronic alertness, this hypervigilance that people are experiencing, or this heightened sense of awareness, this is not what we were designed for. And we are finding a lot of negative effects are happening to people's bodies from being in this heightened state of being for too long. I'm sure a lot of adults now in this time and age can kind of identify with that, and maybe you don't really quite know why. Right? With information and technology moving so quickly, your access to information is a lot faster. Anything that's happening in the world, you have access to instantaneously. Whether or not you are actively thinking about that or not, just having that information and having the awareness of the world, right, sort of does put a little bit more weight of it on your shoulders a little bit, right? People are almost hindered by having too much knowledge or too much information as to what's going on. And I don't mean that to say like, oh, we shouldn't. That's not the point at all. It's just with this knowledge, with this access, comes sort of a different sense. What do I now do with this information? I can't unknow it. Now I feel an obligation to do something about it, which is great. And that is what we need in the world. However, we do also need to process through whatever triggers or feelings or attachments are coming up so that we can move back into our parasympathetic nervous system. Stress is something that is supposed to be quick and managed in a very flash sort of sense. So again, going back to this, what we were designed for, it was designed to remove a threat or get out of the way of a threat. So if there's, a mammoth charging at you, you are ready for that activity. So the adrenaline pumps, all these hormones are pumping into your body. And then once that threat is alleviated, we can kind of shake it off and get back to doing what we were doing and calm down. Life in the modern times, that's not really happening. But it's just sort of this case of one thing and another, and things keep happening throughout your day that you just have to be on all the time. And or you were not taught appropriately how to slow down and kind of go back to that sort of more relaxed state of being. Within this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn state, not one is better than the other. And I do want to point out that your brain doesn't allow you the choice. It is making that determination of which it's going to express on its own. So that is a subconscious level of thought that you have no control over which is going to happen. But what essentially is happening is that it is that shooting out all of these signals known as hormones and other chemicals out into your body, into your cells. When we are living in this chronic state of stress, essentially what is happening is we are becoming overloaded with these chemicals, with these hormones, and the cells are having trouble eliminating it or flushing them out. So anything in excess can become toxic. Those toxins start to essentially break down your cell's defense mechanisms and manipulate your DNA or your genetic code. As we know, every person has their own genetic code filled with things that are being expressed all of the time and some dormant underlying unexpressed things. I'm going to explain what that means. So, everything you need in your body is already inside you right now. If there is something in there that is going to happen, like an illness or a disease, it's already in there, okay? Whether or not it's being expressed is one thing or not. So what's happening is if your cells get built up with these toxins, it will start to attack or manipulate your DNA to now express that illness or that disease. So this is basically how we are finding all of these chronic illnesses or these diseases that we didn't know about or didn't know we had is because of this chronic stress buildup that our cells are not able to get rid of. Let's say that this starts to express as fatigue in your body. So you start noticing, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more tired. I'm not really sure what's going on. Start taking your regimen of supplements and vitamins. What is happening in your cells if they have this buildup of toxicity? They are so full and unable to alleviate the waste that they are now also unable to accept anything good or helpful or new. So basically, you're just flushing out those vitamins because nothing is truly being absorbed. So it really is a huge importance for you to manage stress and learn how to get yourself back to that ebb and flow of parasympathetic nervous system regulation. What can we do? We can better manage ourselves when we notice that we are in this heightened state of awareness, fight or flight mode. So we have to have this self-awareness and be a little bit more accountable for what's happening. These programs are constantly running with or without our awareness. You do have to cut the script, if you will, and say, what's happening right now? Let me take some accountability. The more you start to notice these things and the more you start to sort of interrupt your brain's autopilot, the better you'll become at learning how to and start making changes in what you need to make change with. Step one is to have that awareness to say, wait a minute, why am I feeling this way? Let's stop and let's take account and let's really just be quiet for a second and listen to what's happening within my body. For me personally, I had a pretty severe injury when I was younger and caused a lot of physical pain in my body. I then learned, this was a learned behavior, for my body to essentially shut off those pain signals because it was just all the time. So what happened is my brain then turned off those notification signals. I grew up with having an altered sense of physical pain because my body was tolerating pain every day. And it's gotten to the point where I've become very dysregulated in what pain feels like in my body. Now, taking time to actually, first of all, unpack that, have the awareness to say, wow, that is happening. That's really weird. And then get back into my body and say, hey, brain, body, I'm really sorry that we haven't been communicating so well when it comes to pain. How can we fix this? So, it is a big first step to even have the awareness to acknowledge maybe your brain hasn't really been listening to what your body's been saying for quite some time. Like, let's sit with that and let's try to become more in tune to that. That will help out quite a bit. From there, practice makes perfect. The more you can disrupt that script, those autopilot tendencies, the better you'll be at changing them. But obviously with change, it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things you've never done before, which is scary, which comes with a lot of fear. And fear can manifest in all different kinds of ways. What really holds us back from making changes, even if we know we need to make changes in our lives? The fear of the unknown, the fear of not being successful, the fear of success, the fear of learning something new, not sure if you're ready for it, not sure if your body can handle it. I grew up with worthiness is attached to productivity. And this has nothing to do with bashing the generation of parents that raised us. Okay, this is the information that they were given. So, we've kind of created our own monster with that, right? It's do, achieve, get here, then you'll do this, and then you'll strive for this, and then you'll make this, and then once you're here, maybe then you'll be happy. However, what happens in our brains and in our systems is that once we crave those achievements, we crave those things, and there isn't ever a point where we actually execute it and come to a point where I'm happy now. I've done it. I've done the things. There's no apex, right? You're just always reaching for the next thing. In our bodies and in our brains, we have designed ourselves to have this self-fulfilling prophecy of, okay, if I achieve this thing, then what? Then what? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Which is great. And this is how we move forward as a society, right? And this is how we make big discoveries and do the things. However, if we don't also take the time to sit back and be grateful and find joy and have happiness, we're always going to be seeking something that may or may not come. I'm not saying that we are supposed to live in this joyful, happy bubble of gratitude. We're not either. This is the ebb and flow of life. And this is exactly kind of the point I'm trying to get home here is everything we do is fleeting. But if we're always striving, we're always achieving, we're always in this state of stress, we never actually take a look back and say, wow, I did those things. That's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing. The better you are at being able to look back, identify, and say, I've achieved those things, the more you find self-confidence and like yourself and say, wow, all of those things I've been through, I've done it. I've come out the other side. You have this sort of appreciation and sort of self-validation. And that, in turn, obviously will help you face whatever new challenges come in the future. But the point is, everything needs to be in balance. Okay, you can't always be in a season of achievement. You can't always be in a season of do, push, stress, get to the next thing. So trees have seasons. Sometimes you gotta come back to, oh, that was great, let's take a break. Or that was great, I need a rest. I hope that as the parents out there or the to-be parents out there understand that childhood is also fleeting. Childhood is one of those things that you will never get time back. This person is only this age, this day, today, now, in this state. They're never going to be this human again. The more you can find this presence, awareness, the more you can think about that, honestly, the more you can interject those thoughts into your autopilot and say, my kid is never going to be here. We're never going to be being here in this moment doing this thing ever again. That will help get you out of this chronic state and get you back into your flow. And that will model for them all the things that they need to do for their future. And being able to celebrate the wins and being able to just sit in the joy are awesome tools that we can teach our children. And I think as a society, we are doing better in that, and that we are more aware of positive encouragement, not only for the child's well-being, but also for you. What a great little cycle. I feel like I've ranted a little bit today. Hit me a like, maybe a subscribe. Let me know any ideas, topics. I am going to be diving into co-regulation and fawning. So stay tuned. From me and my emotional support mug, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the other side. Cheers.